All right, welcome. Welcome to the program, or program, as we say. What an exciting day it is. It's pretty exciting for me. I'm just trying to see if I can go live without technical issues. Okay. Well, that's not going to work. Hang on a sec. Turn that off. I'm trying to monitor to make sure that I'm actually live. It looks like I am, even though I can tell nobody's watching. Nobody's watching, but that is okay. That's okay. What are you going to do, right? It doesn't look like a single person is live, so let me just check and make sure I actually made it. I think I made it public. Pretty sure it's public. But pretty sure it's public. Live? It says it's live. Live. That's interesting. Okay, well, maybe I'm live, maybe I'm not. I don't know. Doesn't look like anybody's here. So yeah, what's the point, I guess? That's kind of frustrating. I taught 2 fitness classes this morning and then frantically got back so I could do this live stream. And what I'm trying to do is set it up so that I can go live and do a daily show. And I've developed some apps to help me do that. I ran into an issue with it today with my, I made a slide deck app to help me with my presentations. But that seems to have crashed, so that's something else I got to work on. But for whatever reason, I don't see that anybody is here. I can't tell. So I guess I'll just do the show for myself. Either that or the comments are coming up somewhere else and I'm not seeing them. They're coming up on a different feed. I don't know. I don't know a lot. Anyway, I guess let's just get going. Today we're going to talk about Davos and what really goes on in Davos. But so that's cool. I look really red. I don't know what that's about. No idea what that's about. So I guess F it, we'll do it live, right? That's what Bill O'Reilly says. This is quite odd because it says I don't have anybody here. So that means it makes me think I've done something wrong. But okay, well, I don't know. So that's frustrating. What I'll do then is I'll just do the show as if there's an audience. And we'll just roll from there. And then I'll get comments. My dad will comment, hey, how come you just vamped for 5 minutes and you didn't say anything? It's because there's no one here. What are you going to do? Right? Anyway. Everything's okay, I guess. Cool. All right. Well, hey, we got one person on YouTube. So, yeah, let's do it. Let's do the show. let's just get to the monologue. What really happens in Davos? Nope. There we go. That's me. Oh, lower the chair a little bit. And scoot over just a bit. I'll eventually get it all worked out. All right. Here we go. What really happens in Davos? And I was actually just asked that by a friend of mine this week. He didn't really know what it was about, heard about it in the news, and so I thought, you know what? I'll just make a video on it because I think it's kind of interesting. Every January, let's get right there. Okay. Every January, the most powerful people in the world all make the same travel plan, same week, same town, same ski resort in Switzerland. Total coincidence. They call it Davos. They call it dialogue. They call it global cooperation. And every year we're told, relax, this is just smart people talking about big problems, which is true in the same way the Pentagon is just a building. Here's what people get wrong about Davos. It's not secret. It's not a conspiracy. That's exactly why it works. 3,000 people show up, presidents, prime ministers, CEOs, bankers, tech giants, media elites, NGO royalty. It's all invite only. It's so expensive that the price tag quietly says, you're not meant to be here. The panels are for the cameras. The speeches are for the press releases. The real Davos happens where it always happens, in hallways, hotel lounges, private dinners, and quick side meetings that somehow shape policy before the public debate even begins. Nobody votes. Nobody signs anything. They just agree. They already share the same schools, the same boards, same think tanks, the same assumptions about how the world is supposed to work. So when someone says, this is a responsible direction, the room nods. That's how power moves now. Not through laws first, through consensus among the people who never have to explain themselves to you. And this is why Davos drives people crazy, because year after year, you hear lectures about inequality from people whose wealth is never on the table. You hear sermons about sustainability from people who arrive on private jets. You hear speeches about disruption carefully designed so nothing actually disrupts them. Davos doesn't create inequality, it manages it. It doesn't stop populism, it routes around it. It's not evil, it's efficient, and maybe evil. The real divide today isn't left versus right. It's not red versus blue. It's inside the network versus everybody else. Davos isn't where the world is run. It's where the people who already run it meet once a year to make sure they still do. My name's Tom Coffey. This is the Coffee and Nuance Show. Believe it or not, it's the best streaming show that you're watching right now. Flame on. Okay. Oh, you're not ignored. You're not ignored. I see the comments. So, welcome. Glad you're here. I made a slide deck, and I ran into issues with my little app that I made to show it. So, that's rather unfortunate. That's rather unfortunate. We'll turn this, get that off of there. All right. And, yeah, what really happens at Davos? Obviously, that's not the graphic I wanted, but we'll just go with it. So we're talking about everything that happens in Davos. Had a little slide deck prepared, but I can't seem to work it. So I'll just go through it anyway without any fun graphics, right? Who cares about that? Where? Okay, where did it go? Oh, here it is. Okay, nope. See, this I should consider this bonus time, so you get to see me struggle, because what I have loaded on my screen is the wrong thing. Well, I think I got it on this computer. Let's see. That's not it. Okay. File. Okay, here we go. I don't know why I didn't have this loaded up, but here's the truth, right? Nothing really dramatic happens at Davos. That's the reality of it. There's no big announcements. There's no villain speeches, and that's the whole point of it. Okay. I want you to think of Davos more as a maintenance event. Okay. It's kind of like if you think about firmware for computers, right? This is just updating the firmware. This is just a little update. It's not like a brand new product. So there's no big launches at Davos. It's all just about maintenance, if you will. You know, like an oil change, if you will. So the public-facing Davos is like a reputation laundering. It's people go there because they know that it's going to be covered, and they are saying things to get some good press about them. The appearance of moral seriousness is like an asset for this, if you will. And even if nothing happens, right, the appearance of concern has value, right? You see these elites, these billionaires, these tech titans, and they're there, and you see that they're serious, and you see that they're caring. There's a lot of value to that. There's no debates or anything. There's no debate, no. But the real elite at Davos isn't the guest list. It's not the people they bring in for an interview. It's the people that are there every single year. It's the people with the permanent pass, if you will. Because repetition creates trust. So if you're part of one of these systems that is the building block of how things run in the world, if you're there all the time, then that's everyone gets used to it. Trust beats credentials. So if people are seen to be world leaders, they're at Davos, other world leaders, other big tech people or whatever, that is their credentials right there, that they're there. And I need to let me get this off the screen here, because that's bothering me. Okay. But most influence happens through introductions and not in any kind of logical, persuasive argument. So nobody convinces anybody at Davos. They connect people. You should talk to this guy. You should talk to him. Oh, let me introduce you to this person. Yeah, we'll follow up. Those kinds of things. That one introduction can matter more than 10 elections. That's how these are. And so how does power move at Davos? By the time an idea reaches the public, it's already been socially approved inside of all the elite networks. And so often they will introduce ideas at Davos through the World Economic Forum. They'll be introducing ideas. Now, not all of them ever make it, right? Sometimes they're so bad, they just get laughed out of existence. But they need that institutional approval before they even bring it to the public. And so to conclude, what really is Davos? Davos is a pressure equalizer. It's not a command center. Okay? No one runs the world from Davos. What Davos does is make sure that the people that run the world stay aligned and avoid any surprises. Okay, so what this does is it reduces uncertainty amongst the elites. It identifies issues early, and it smooths out conflicts inside their network. Davos doesn't decide the future. It narrows the range of futures that are allowed to happen. Yeah. And you don't have to think that this is evil for this to be real. Like, this is real. This is happening. If you want one new thought that might tie this all together, the biggest mistake people make is thinking that power today looks like control. It doesn't. It looks like coordination. It's not on the slides, right? It's not in the monologue. That's the value that they have in Davos. Coordination, and that's why they're all coming together every January to sort some things out. Anyway, that's the terrible presentation that I want to make on Davos. It didn't go exactly as I'd hoped, but perhaps I cannot do a live stream within an hour of teaching 2 fitness classes. That might be a little bit too much for me. I might be a bit too frazzled, but that's okay. That's okay. We'll charge ahead, and I have a number of stories to get through today. So let me see if we can go through that. So here we go. Let's get to the first story. This is big news. Big news. The U.S. is officially leaving the World Health Organization. Crazy. So the U.S. has officially exited the World Health Organization after nearly 80 years, a move initiated by President Trump in his second term. Citing mishandling of the COVID-19 pandemic and other health issues, this raises questions by some about America's role in global health governance and future pandemic preparedness. So I think the best way to prepare for pandemics is not to make them. But I don't know. That's just my take on it. But I kind of agree with Trump's strategy here. You know, if you can't fix the problem, just walk away from it, right? Who needs global health strategy? Because it didn't look like that's what the World Health Organization was doing anyways. So why should we be paying for it? But I kind of agree, right? I want things to be unfiltered and not filtered through the World Health Organization. They didn't seem to be doing much for us anyway. Could this set a dangerous precedent? I don't think so, because I think as soon as the Democrats win the White House back, we'll be right back in the World Health Organization. Right? That's just the reality of it. That's my guess, but we'll just have to see what happens. Anyway, got some news with TikTok. This is kind of a thing here. Look at this. TikTok U.S. joint venture deal closes. Wow. Former Warner Brothers exec Adam Presser named as CEO. Maybe I should make this a little smaller. Is that better? No, that's worse. That makes it worse. Well, something else to work on, right? But ByteDance has finalized a joint venture to establish TikTok US. Now majority owned by American investors, this strategic move aims to comply with U.S. regulations. It addresses security concerns over the app's use by over 200 million people and 7.5 million businesses in the country. I don't believe that. Do you believe 200 million people in the U.S. are using TikTok? We only got 360 million people. You're saying the majority of people are on TikTok? No wonder everything's going to hell. I don't know. I'm not sure I believe this story by Variety. I think they need some fact checking. Because if 200 million Americans are on TikTok, that's crazy. That's crazy. But TikTok US is kind of like a teenager getting their first job. Now they've got to pay taxes and follow the rules, right? So, but if TikTok can comply with U.S. law, maybe Congress will finally get together and decide they can actually come up with some good regulations. Doubt it. I haven't seen that. But this could be a total game changer on how social media platforms navigate international regulations. You know, we're just going to have an American version of everything, right? Which is kind of weird because, you know, you don't see like Peru saying, hey, TikTok, we need TikTok Peru, because, you know, we're not sure about how you operate. The rest of the world just kind of takes these things on. But I guess we're special, right? Anyway, is anyone that watches my show on TikTok? I am not. I've never got the app. I'm not much into the really short form content. That's never really been my thing. But if you are, let me know. I'd be interested to know. And next up, we've got something with the FBI. Yeah. So, let's see. Here we go. Okay. Frustrating that I can't get the this window right. Can't get this window right. Oh well. What are you going to do? 3 anti-ICE activists have been arrested by the FBI for disrupting a church service in Minnesota, an event being labeled as a church riot. This event raises questions about the intersection of activism, freedom of speech, and law enforcement responses to the protests. But to me, I kind of think that this case kind of blurs the lines between activism and being a criminal, right? if you didn't see it, they went into a church. They found out what happened is they found out one of the guys at the church was an ICE officer. And they doxed him, and they found out, oh, this is where he goes to church. So they got a big group. They went in there during the second service, I guess, and they waited to a certain point, and then they got up and started yelling, how dare you, why aren't you looking out for your Somali neighbors and whatnot, screaming at the people in the church. Kind of a scary scene. And that's not a place to protest, right? You don't have a right to protest in somebody else's church service. I think this sets a really bad precedent, but I think what this is, in my opinion, is they're just kind of testing the limits to see what they can do. And they're saying, hey, can we show up and protest inside someone's church? Obviously, I don't think that that's a good move, and I don't think that any sane person that has a grasp of reality would approve of this. So I think this is a litmus test. I think if you are in agreement that you should be able to go inside somebody else's church and act crazy and scream and disrupt things, I think that's all I need to know about you, and I would not want to be anywhere near you. But maybe they'll bring back the insane asylums, and then we'll have a place we can put those people. Yeah. But yeah, it's hard to even be nuanced on this. It's hard to even kind of both sides this. In my opinion, you can't go in somebody's church and just start screaming. You just can't do that. It's called being an asshole. No. Knock it off. But yeah, we'll just have to see. It really does show the growing tension in America. I don't think that this is organic. I think that this is being pushed by certain agencies, if you will. And it's probably right out of a playbook that's been declassified, which maybe I'll go over one day. Maybe I'll do a video on that, which is, how to stage these kind of revolutions. But yeah, that's it. Hopefully this was a one-time thing and there's not more of this. We'll just have to see what happens. But next up, we've got a very interesting case happening in Texas. That's right. The Texas Attorney General starts an investigation into vaccine-related financial incentives. What? That's about time, but I'm glad it's finally happening somewhere. Texas Attorney General Ken Paxton has launched an investigation into financial incentives related to childhood vaccinations. The probe will examine pediatricians, insurers, and vaccine companies for potentially deceptive practices, including bonuses for vaccinating children. What if we found that out? What if we found out that doctors were getting bonuses for every kid they vaccinated? I'm not sure that we'd like hearing that. But Paxton claims the investigation aims to uphold a trust in medical recommendations because this started because there was a revelation of insurers offering bonuses as up to $400 per child for vaccinations. Now, I don't know about you, but I don't think that doctors should be getting bonuses for doing that or for doing anything. You shouldn't get a bonus, right? I think doctors are paid enough. You don't need a bonus. Imagine if this investigation uncovers a vaccine bonus black market among doctors. That'd be pretty crazy. That'd be pretty crazy. And if my doctor were taking a bonus for giving me a vaccine, now I know this is about childhood vaccinations, but if it turns out that I found out that my doctor was taking cash bonuses for pushing medicine on people, I'd probably look for a new doctor, right? Wouldn't you? Yeah. So, yeah, let's get to the next story, shall we? Here, well, just let me get to it. Now, I got this from Zero Hedge. Probably not going to see this on CNN, but this is a big story. The Trump administration aims to orchestrate regime change in Cuba by year end, leveraging strategies from the recent Venezuelan operation that ousted Maduro. With the Cuban economy faltering and its ties to Venezuela fraying, U.S. officials see an opportunity to negotiate with insiders for leadership change. Oh, insiders. Those are probably people that have set up charities, non-government organizations, things like that that have received money from CIA cutouts, USAID, National Endowment for Democracy, places like that, right? Anyway, concerns that these interventions could lead to a humanitarian crisis and a new wave of asylum seekers complicates things. But I got to tell you, you know, that old expression, when someone tells you who they are, believe them the first time, right? If the White House is saying they're going for regime change in Cuba by the end of the year, I'd believe them. I would believe them. And now, I don't know why this camera zoomed in so much. I have an AI camera, and it's not supposed to be that zoomed in, but what are you going to do? So I feel like I could... Nope. No. Anyway. So that's a prediction. Are we going to see the end of Cuba by the end of the year? You know, the U.S. has had issues, shall we say, with Cuba my entire life. Is it finally going to happen? I might suspect that it would. I would put the odds better than 50-50. That's my prediction. So we'll just have to see what happens. Probably not the place to go vacationing once you get that news. So anyway, let's get to the next story here. This is an interesting one. Now I did... And of course, once again, we can count on Yahoo Finance to have a totally unrelated video playing on this story. As Trump talks tariffs, his Argentine ally welcomes a first shipload of Chinese EVs. I don't know about you, but have you seen any of these electric vehicles that are Chinese? They look incredible. I think it'd be really cool if we could get them here in America, but we don't. We don't have them here. But Argentina, Milei, he's welcoming a shipment of Chinese electric vehicles from BYD. That's the company. This move highlights a growing tension between global auto market as China exports surge, challenging Western manufacturers and potentially undermining Trump's protectionist agenda. So Argentina has embraced these Chinese electric vehicles, despite the really good relationship that Argentina has had recently with the United States. So, what does this mean for American manufacturers in the EV space? I don't know. I really don't know how they could compete on a fair playing field, if you will, with China. The Chinese electric vehicles are very affordable, and so if Argentina has an opportunity to buy them, I think that's good for them, and I think we should have more competition, right? Pro competition. I've never actually seen one of these Chinese EVs in person. I've only seen them on videos online. But if I get down to Argentina again, I think it'd be really cool to check it out. So we'll just have to see. We'll just have to see. And I'm hoping that this doesn't turn into some big issue with Argentina and the U.S., because I really like the way things have been going with that. Speaking of Argentina, I did watch the Javier Milei speech from Davos the other day. I watched a translation video of it. It was very wonky, very nerdy, very economist. I really can't recommend it. It wasn't as exciting as some of his other speeches that he's given. In fact, I think it was kind of one of the most boring ones I've seen him do. It wasn't nearly as fiery as I'm used to from Milei. So I think you can skip it, but if you saw it, let me know. A couple more stories and then we're out. Okay. Here we go. Well, I had this pulled up, but I pulled it up on a different screen, and now the Washington Post wants more money from me. Israel kills 3 journalists in Gaza, including CBS News contributor. That's not good. In a tragic incident, 3 journalists, including a CBS News contributor, were killed by an Israeli airstrike in Gaza. The Israel military claimed the strike targeted individuals operating a drone, raising significant concerns over the safety of journalists in conflict zones and the rules of engagement during military operations. Now, I think during the fog of war, what's happening over there, it's really hard to know what really happened. If they're saying that they targeted people operating a drone, was the journalist hanging out with someone operating a drone? Because if that's the case, that probably shouldn't be where you are. Or did they take out a journalist and that's what they're blaming it on? Right? We don't really have enough information, and I think, in a war, it's really hard to believe anyone. And in this case, I don't believe either side. Okay? So all I know is that a journalist has been killed. But I don't. That's all I know. And I think anyone claiming otherwise, they're just pushing an agenda, because I don't see how anyone can believe anything right now that's happening in Gaza. It makes it really tough to talk about. And when things are really tough to talk about, what we need are more journalists there to report on. Oh, hold on, I see the issue. Okay, yeah. I don't know. We'll just have to see, but maybe CBS will come out and tell us what happened in this case, because so far I don't think they've commented on it. So anyway, next up, 7 more countries agree to join Trump's Board of Peace. Yeah, there we go. 7 Muslim majority countries have agreed to join Trump's newly formed Board of Peace, a move that sparked discussions about its potential impact on international relations. Meanwhile, President Vladimir Putin is reportedly considering joining the initiative, raising eyebrows about the geopolitical implications. This development reflects a unique coalition that could reshape traditional alliances and diplomatic dialogues in the region. This is exciting. I love the idea of a board of peace. And you get these people together. I think having Putin on the board, and maybe Trump's got a new title. He could be Peacemaker in Chief, right? Which would be pretty cool. He could add that to his X bio, right? If you want. And who knows? If Trump is able to get peace between Russia and Ukraine and peace in Gaza, maybe when he's done being president, he can be Secretary General of the UN. Right? Might work. I'm all in favor of it. Anyway, lastly, we've got some good news. So let's get to the good news story of the day.
Good news to pull me through.
Here we go. First, Russia-U.S.-Ukraine meeting will take place in Abu Dhabi. In a significant diplomatic development, Russia, Ukraine, and the U.S. are set to hold their first trilateral, that means three-way, meeting in Abu Dhabi, as announced by senior aide to President Putin. This meeting is anticipated to address ongoing tensions and explores pathways toward resolution among ongoing conflict. Stakes are high as the leaders are going to get together for this, but any sign of progress is going to be fantastic. I think we can agree. What are the main objectives of this trilateral meeting? I'm guessing it's to end the war in Ukraine. And how this will affect, this will be better for everyone, in my opinion. I think that this should have been over long ago. I don't think this ever should have happened, but, I'm not running the world. But why Abu Dhabi? Okay. Why not, right? Why not Abu Dhabi? And since there's three of them, will this be get as much action as we do talk? That's what we want out of this. But I do think that this is going to be good news. And I think you can imagine if at the end of this, Trump comes out with a win where the war stops and the killing stops, the dying stops, and the peace starts. I think that's a win, not only for Ukraine, not only for Russia, but for the world. It's a win for the world. So I look forward to that. That is the good news to go out on today. Anyway, that's all I have prepared. Again, thanks for sticking through my practice of getting back to streaming. I'll keep trying to sort it out and keep trying to get things to work, but we're getting there. We're getting there. I appreciate your patience. Anyway, in the after show, I'll go through your comments and read how bad you thought I did. Just kidding. Anyway, I hope you all have an awesome weekend, and I'm going to try this again on Monday, so hope you can join me then. Peace. So, what's up? Gonzo says, nice stash. I appreciate that. What's up? Rainers of all 42. Nice to see you. And you were never ignored. Sometimes there's a delay. have I listened to the Carney speech? I have not. So I guess that's something that I need to do. But I will. He had his Churchill moment. Now it's funny. I don't know what a Churchill moment is. I don't. I'm not sure if that's a good or a bad thing. Let's see. Is this? But I will check out the. I will check out Carney's speech. I think I can do that. That's cool. That was his speech from the history books. Okay. WEF is what it says, a forum, not more. You're absolutely right. No decisions, no negotiations, no command center. Yeah, that's it. Leaving the WHO is old news. Well, was it official before? I mean, I think it was decided before. I don't know that it was official. The U.S. has left 66 organizations recently. Okay. Yeah, we'll see. Rainers thinks that that's so wrong. So when you say that is so wrong, I'm not sure if that is which story we're talking about, but I'm guessing you're talking about the WHO. We'll see. Yeah, Bite Dance to Ellison. That should be better. I'm not making the claim it's better or worse. I never understood why. I really never understood the issue with TikTok, and I think that the real issue with TikTok is that a foreign government can use it to influence people, which is our job, right? That's the U.S. job. The U.S. job is to get tech companies to influence other countries, not the other way around. And so I understand why they had a big problem with TikTok. But to me, that was the big issue. The issue was not some kind of spyware or whatnot on the phone. I don't think that that was the big issue. I think the issue was psychological operations, if you will. The initial problem was the ICE pastor. Well, I don't think the pastor was ICE. I think one of the church, I don't know, deacon or bishop or something like that, someone at the church works at ICE. But again, I don't really care. I think if someone, let's just say someone is the worst person in the entire world, right? Terrible, terrible person, and they espouse all kinds of awful things, right? Stand outside their house, stand outside their work or something. You can stand outside on the parking lot. You stand out in the parking lot in the church if you want to protest. Although I kind of think that's a jerk move as well. But stand out in the public space outside. You don't have the right to go into any space like that to protest. I think that's just sets a terrible, terrible precedent. And I don't care how bad, how much you hate the person that you're protesting. Don't go in a church to do it. I'm not down with that. BYD seems to build pretty good cars now. Yeah, the Chinese car, I've seen it online. I've seen some reviews of it, and like walkthroughs and showing all the features of it. Looks incredible. It really looks like some incredible cars. I kind of wish we could get them here. Now they're cheap and top of the market. Yeah. Don Lemon should be in jail. Yeah, it looked like Don Lemon was not just reporting on it, it looked like he was part of the protest at the church. I thought it was a really bad look. But then again, I keep thinking that Don Lemon can't top himself for being a dick, right? You think he's peaked, and then he tops it, and I think that this topped it. Let's see. Occam's razor, IDF killed that journalist. If that is your assumption, that's probably not a bad place to start. Again, when a war is going on, it's hard to believe what's being reported on it, especially in this case, because I really don't believe anything that's coming out of that area. I think probably 100% of what's coming out that area is propaganda for one side or another. So I'm just really not sure what's going on there. I wonder if Putin moves, at least he's going to that meeting. That's a plus. Probably nothing will happen. You know, I disagree. I think we're really... If I had to bet, I think this Ukraine thing will be over sooner rather than later. But that's my take. Tom's back. Silver is up over $100 an ounce, 102 an ounce. My goodness. My goodness. Why did I not get more silver? Well, I'll tell you why I didn't get more silver. You know, I think over COVID, you know, I was like looking into silver, and I didn't want to just buy like certificates. I wanted the actual silver, and they make it really difficult to just buy physical silver. And then I went to a shop that had silver, and I was like, I want to buy some silver. And then they had the silver with the price, but then they added on a number of bucks to it. I don't know how much, like $4 or something. And that it just seemed like too much. Like that's too much of a fee to sell it to me. I mean, I know you got to pay rent and everything, but that just, I don't know, something about that didn't seem right to me. That $4 looks really cheap right now, doesn't it? It was like selling for $25, and then it was like, okay, it'll be $29. I'm like, I don't want to spend $29. What's that extra $4? Well, now it looks like a bargain. But yeah, silver did make a big leap. I do have some silver, not enough. But you could say that about all my assets, right? No matter what asset class it is, I've got some cash, I've got some of this, not enough, and definitely not enough silver. And I do think, not financial advice, but I think silver's going to go even higher. That's just my take. Anyway, that's all I have prepared today. Thank you for hanging out with me. I hope you have a beautiful, beautiful weekend, and it's maybe it'll warm up. Have a good one. Until then, peace.